Good evening. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at the Trick or Treat Studios Scream Greats Killer Clowns from Outer Space. This is Series 1, which included Shorty, Fatso, and Slim. Now, these are awesome figures. For one, we don't really get Killer Clowns from Outer Space action figures like ever since, I believe it was Amok Time Toys back in the day, made a couple of those. But now we seem to be getting quite a few Killer Clowns action figures. Specifically, these from Trick or Treat Studios are ones that I think fans are really going to enjoy. And truthfully, these have been out for quite a while, but I figured, all of Series 1 is out, and Series 2 got announced at Toy Fair this past month. So we're going to take a look at these and maybe talk about what's to come in the future. So looking at them all together, these guys are quite big. Maybe we'll just start with scaling first. Shorty here is about like 5 to 6 inches. He's quite tall. For reference, I'm going to bring in a NECA Ultimate Freddy, which I believe he actually stands at around 7 inches. So honestly, Shorty is quite tall. Now, that might be an issue for a lot of collectors who are looking to scale this figure or these figures with figures in their collection, but truthfully, I don't really mind it that much. Freddy is a shorter guy. If we were to take him out and maybe replace him with Tony Todd's Candyman here, that looks a little better. I'd imagine Shorty is supposed to be, really short, but I think that looks pretty good, all things considered. This is an 8-inch figure, so yeah, Shorty stands at about 7 inches tall. Fatso and Slim, on the other hand, you can tell they're reaching almost probably 9 inches in height, which is great. These are really big figures, and again, that might be an issue for some people, but I think the clowns in the movie, they're pretty big and imposing. It kind of makes sense. I think the only one that kind of stands out is Shorty. So that's the scaling in a nutshell. I think we should take this one by one, look at each figure, talk about them, pros and cons, just go down the line. We're going to start with Shorty here, probably one of the most iconic clowns in the whole movie. Shorty has the iconic knock your block off scene, which is why he comes with the boxing gloves here. Very cool. So I guess we'll start with paint and detail now. The sculpt on these guys, I think the sculpt is super good, from all the different wrinkles in the face, along with all the different textures in the fabric, or whatever the clothes are for the clowns here. Very nice. You can even see on the top of the head with the hair, all the different strands are kind of sculpted in there. Very cool. Overall sculpt, I have to say, is very impressive. Now let's talk about the paint. Paint is gonna be, it's pretty good, but it will be a tiny bit of a hit or miss in some areas. These figures tend to be painted pretty flat in terms of tones. First, let's start with the pros, right? The face on Shorty, I think, is painted really well. The skin isn't just a plain white or plain gray. It has a mix of like dirty white, and I don't know, he looks kind of grimy, which is nice. And even in the sunken in areas and wrinkles of his face have a bit more darker values in there, so that's what we're looking for. In that regard, I think the paint is very good, but areas like the clothing, you'll see, just come off a bit flat. There's so much great sculpting and texture in this figure that I really wish there were some deeper dark colors and also some more bright highlights to really bring out the texture. I'm sure people could do custom paint jobs of these figures, but regardless, what we have is really good. So paint is good. It just kind of misses the mark in some areas, especially like this frill around his neck. You can see there's all this great texture, but you kind of lose it with the paint job. I think the most offensive part are the shoes here. They're just a plain blue color. As you can see, I have to keep refocusing the camera, mind you. But like I said, for what it is, it gets the job done. What you're buying is what you get, right? And I think it's pretty fair. Articulation. Head is on somewhat of a ball joint. You can't really get a whole lot of motion out of him. It's fairly restricted. Arms, on the other hand, you can actually get his shoulders up here, his upper arm, arm into a lot of different poses, which is good. It moves freely. It doesn't feel like there's any restrictions, so that is all good. Swivel in the boxing gloves, so I mean, if you really want to, you can have him either like this or like this, however you want to pose his fists, or a mixture of both. Very good. There's nothing in the feet from what I can tell. A little disappointing, especially because he doesn't sit perfectly flat. I don't know if that's an issue with this figure in particular, or maybe it's just my figure, but he does tend to wobble a little bit, so just something to be mindful of. Overall, Shorty is really good, and now I did say I had a lot of issues with the paint per se. Again, he does come off a bit flat in color, but truthfully, we don't really get figures of the Killer Klowns as often, and to have the whole lot of them together and with the beautiful sculpt work, sure, it's not an action figure, but they're beautiful display pieces, and like I said, they scale decently well with other figures you own, in my opinion, so I think they're pretty exceptional in that regard, especially Shorty here. We're going to put him down, and we'll bring in Fatso here. If you couldn't tell, this one is Fatso. Now, detail on him, just like with Shorty, is super good. If I were to bring him closer, you can see all the wrinkles and all the sunken in detail of his face. Very gross, very cool. All the different little details in the hair, all very good. I'd say the paint on him may be a little better. It does look like there's maybe like some kind of dry brushing done on the frills of his outfit here. You'll notice that it's not just a solid pink. There's actually like a wash on top of it, or some type of dry brushing, which is I appreciate a lot. I just wish we could see that more throughout all the figures, especially maybe in the clothes, and I think even in the hair, some more dry brushing or just some darker tones and highlights would definitely help that out a lot. Coming down to his body, one thing you should note, Shorty here is made of all resin. He's heavy. He's a heavy clown, but Fatso here, his body feels mostly like a different material. It feels more plasticky, and he even feels a little hollow, so that's just something to note. He's not heavier than Shorty, surprisingly. Detail on him is good. He has all these different patterns on his clown outfit. I don't know how accurate it is, but I mean, for what it is, it gets the job done. It looks really good, in my opinion. Again, paint can just be a little bit flat, but that's kind of whatever. We'll take a look at his hands. Just like with Shorty, all the skin detail or paint is very nice. It's not just a flat tone. There's actually some different values in there, which we appreciate. He even has painted fingernails, which is pretty cool. And then, yeah, that's mostly the detail on him. Again, flat, painted, just yellow shoes, gets the job done, whatever. Mine has a bit of scuffs on it, which is a little annoying, but it's whatever. We'll take a look quickly at the weapon he comes with. This is, I'm pretty sure, the same exact weapon that comes with Slim. I believe this is the cotton candy gun, which is hilarious. It fits in his hand nicely, and it's painted really well, but just like the figure, it's very flat. Not a whole lot going on in terms of paint. It's neatly painted. I mean, there is just a few little mishaps if you take a closer look there, but aside from that, it looks really good. Fits in his hand just like that. Very good. Move on to articulation. He does theoretically have a ball joint of some kind in his head, but unlike Shorty over there, you can't really get a whole lot out of it. This thing around his neck kind of prevents his head from moving any full direction. It just kind of pivots a little bit. Then if we go down to the shoulders are good. Pretty much what you'd expect, just like Shorty there, and just like Shorty, the wrists swivel. So pretty good overall. I really like Fatso. I love him because he's this really big figure, and he's a nice complement to Shorty here. I think they give a nice contrast when you see the difference in sizes. We'll move on now to the final clown in this set, that being Slim. Just like before, super nice. The paint on him, the detail is really good. Sculpting's all there. One thing to note on him, his body is really, really reflective. I don't know if that's supposed to represent the texture that his outfit had in the movie, or if this is just what they chose to go with, but some might not like it. I feel it just looks a lot different from the other clowns, so that's something to note. Again, I think he's mostly hollow. He feels very, very light, which is fine. If we were to take a closer look at his face here, you can see more great detail, just like the other two clowns. It's very, very nice. You can see all the different wrinkles and folds in his face, and even his eyes, his tiny little eyes are painted super, super good. So overall, like I said, sculpt on all three of these guys are pretty exceptional in my opinion for like clown action figures. It's just the paint, right? And speaking of paint, you can see this thing around his neck here actually has a lot of different tones going on, so that I very much appreciate, but it definitely provides a weird contrast when you look at his body and notice that this is all just one printed color plastic, just straight purple, nothing really more. Again, very flat paint, could be annoying, it's whatever. Coming down to his feet, he actually has a little bend in his foot here. He stands fine, but that's just something to note. Just like before, skin tone, painted very good. The hands look great, and the gun, I'll just show you very quickly, is pretty much identical to the one that Fatso has. Articulation should be no news at this point, right? But he has a somewhat ball joint in the head. Somewhat, he can't look fully around because of the neck piece, but that's to be expected at this point. His shoulders move pretty good despite this piece being here, this rubber piece. It's a soft rubber, which allows him to actually move quite a bit. You can get him into like a waving pose. I might keep him in that pose, it looks pretty good. And then his wrists do swivel, but not quite as well as the other two clowns. His sleeves actually obstruct and restrict his movement quite a bit, which can be annoying. Otherwise, it looks really good. So that was a real quick look at these figures, but what is my final verdict on these guys? To tell you the truth, I personally really, really like these guys. I think they're a pretty decent value. They, I believe, go for like $30-$35, which nowadays is a bit cheaper than a NECA Ultimate figure, depending on where you're getting these from. I think your mileage is going to vary on what you're looking for. Like I said, they're not action figures. They're more so glorified statues with a few points of articulation. Detail is really good, sculpt work is great. The paint can just be very flat in certain areas, and in the areas where it's actually really good, just kind of contrast with those lesser painted areas, which could be a distraction. So if you're looking for a super high-end killer clown action figure line, right, you're not really going to find it. I'm not saying settle on these guys, because I do genuinely think these are really good. It's just that you should definitely note that there's some drawbacks to these figures. You know, they're not NECA Ultimate figures, they're not Mezco 1/12. They are their own kind of statue-esque, action figure-esque like mixture, and for what they are, I think they're worth it personally, but might not be worth it for you if this isn't what you're looking for. So overall, I recommend it. If you're a huge fan of Killer Klowns from Outer Space, we haven't got figures of these guys in forever, and as we know through Toy Fair, we are getting more of them. We're going to get at least the 6 main clowns and maybe more to come. So that's definitely promising, and another reason why you should try to pick these guys up. You can get these guys pretty much anywhere. You can get them at FYE in your local mall, whatever. You can get them online. They're not hard to come by. Again, they're made by Trick or Treat Studios, which they make costumes and props, stuff you can buy at Spirit of Halloween in October. So these guys really aren't going anywhere anytime soon. They're an easy pickup. I say go get it. If you're looking for something more high-end, maybe skip on these, but like I said, you're not really gonna get anything else anytime soon, I don't think. So I think these guys are worth it. So thanks so much for watching, and next time we'll look at another great action figure. See you in the next one.